Good morning, everyone. I'm very, very thrilled to be able to kick off this 8x8 orientation event this morning. My name is Andrew Ho. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am a professor here at HGSE. Lots of people call me a psychometrician, and I realize that that sounds more like an insult than it does a job title. But what it means is that I study psychological metrics, and in particular, I am interested in educational test scores. I am interested in how we design and use educational test scores, and how we might design and use educational test scores better than we currently do for parents, for teachers, for students, for school leaders, for policymakers, and for educational researchers. So what I'm going to do is describe a project that I've been working on, now going on 10 years or so, in particular with my colleague Sean Reardon, who I should note is an HGSE alumnus. And we're going to call this a big data project. And why is it big data? It's big data because we use almost 400 million test scores from students in public schools throughout the United States, grades 3 through 8, reading and mathematics. 400 million. It turns out we do a lot of educational testing here in the United States. And our question is, how can we use these data to help advance educational research and our understanding of educational inequality in this country? So what I'm going to do is show you this first slide, which is what we had in the past. So in general, if you wanted to know in the past about what how educational achievement is distributed in the country, you'd have to look at the National Assessment of Educational Progress. And what this does is every 2 years in reading and mathematics, grades 4 and 8, they release scores that are comparable across states. Here you see grade 4 mathematics scores just released this past spring. And you can see, for example, that in dark blue, states like Massachusetts and Minnesota and Iowa are scoring a little bit higher. And in the lighter colors, you can see California, Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico are scoring a little bit lower. So that's what we've had in the past. What do we have now? What have we released? What have we done? This is the picture that we now have. Right? So I imagine that this is kind of like those of you with bad vision. I remember when I was in middle school and got my first pair of glasses, I could sort of put them on and was like, wow, this is what the world is like. And yes, this is the massive distribution of educational achievement in this country. You can see in the dark blue to purple down there, those are relatively low scoring. And in the dark greens and you see in the upper right and scattered around the country, those are relatively high scoring. How low scoring? How high scoring? This is, if you can see in the legend down here, 2.5 grade levels below average to 2.5 grade levels above average. That's 5 grade levels of difference on average across the 13,000 odd districts in the United States. That means that some third graders in some districts are performing on average like 8th graders in other districts, and 8th graders, conversely, are performing on average like 3rd graders. Now, that does not mean that 3rd graders and 8th graders are indistinguishable. But what it does mean is that when it comes to their tested performance in reading and mathematics, there's 5 grade levels of difference on average throughout the entire district across the United States. And this immediately raises questions about how educational opportunity is distributed in this country and what we can do about the massive gaps that we see here. Right? So obviously, one of the initial correlates that we think of here when we look at educational achievement is socioeconomic status. And what I'm going to show you here is on the vertical axis, we have the average district achievement for 5th graders. And again, you can see that some 5th graders are performing at 8th grade levels nationally, and other 5th graders are performing at 2nd grade levels nationally, right? So that's a massive amount of difference. Each bubble you see there is, again, one of the 12,000 to 13,000 school districts in the United States. The size of the bubble corresponds to how large it is. On the horizontal axis, you can see socioeconomic status. This is a composite of, as you can see in the bottom left, parental income, parental education, income, single-parent household, SNAP eligibility, poverty, and unemployment. So this is a measure for parents whose kids are in public school. So in the district, we can link educational achievement and socioeconomic status, and this is the correlation we see. As you can see in the bottom left, lower SES districts have lower achievement on average. Higher SES districts have higher achievement on average. And so you might think, in this case, the correlation here is around 0.8 or so. This is a pretty strong correlation, right? And yet, is demography destiny? Right? That is the question. Is there something we can do about this? And if you look at the scatter up and down, here we can focus on 5 school districts that'll help us see this, right? Here are 5 of the largest school districts in the country. Right? And so what you can see is, actually, anyone know what that big one is? What's the largest school district in the country? New York City. What's number 2? LA. So let's just look at New York City and LA. Anyone know any of the others? 3, 4, and 5? We've got Chicago, Miami-Dade, Clark County. Puerto Rico, unfortunately, isn't in our data set, otherwise it would be top 5. But these are the top 5 that we have. And you can see even for Los Angeles and New York City and Miami, right, all pretty similar socioeconomic status. And yet New York and Miami are outperforming LA by a grade level and a half. Right? So even though you think, oh yeah, SES is destiny, actually still in any of these vertical slices, you can see that some districts are performing better than others, and it makes you ask why. Right? Now let's look deeper. Let's look at a couple of states. Here is a red state, and here is a blue state. What's that red state? You can see that big district down there. Red state, so that's LA in the bottom, in that big red circle. So that's California that you're seeing in red. Right? And so you can see that the low SES districts in California are performing low, and the high SES districts are performing high. But because it's below the line, we can see that California is generally underperforming what we would expect them to do given their socioeconomic status. And yet, when you get to the Palo Altos and Menlo Parks in the upper right, you can start to see that they're performing above average. Right? So we can see a big socioeconomic gradient for California. In contrast, there's a blue state that's outperforming its expectations across the board. What's that blue state? It's Massachusetts, right? So that's that big blue dot over there, that's Boston. And you can see that, again, even though Boston has average achievement throughout the country, they're outperforming their expectations given socioeconomic status by a grade level. Right? And again, this forces us to ask, what is going on here? And again, we have not had this resolution of data before. Okay, but we're not just interested in status, we're interested in progress. And what we can do with this data set, too, is take a look at how educational achievement has changed over time. Here's 2009, here's 2010. Did you see that? Right, here's 2009, here's 2010, here's 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right? So that is the progress of every school district in this country from 2009 to 2016. We're working on the 2017 data now. Right? And this is, again, what is not just what causes high achievement, what causes us to go from low achievement to high achievement. Okay? So now let's take a look at some of these districts that are making the most progress and falling the furthest behind. So those blue districts, here we can see the blue districts are falling and those greenish districts are rising. Look at that big one right there, right? Just like, it's like a moon over the horizon, right? Like, what do you think that is? That's one of our big 5. That's Chicago, making over a grade level of improvement over the past 8 years. Right? And so again, it raises questions about why this is happening. And so we hope that these data are a tool for everybody in this community and beyond to help to try to understand the correlates and then hopefully, ultimately, the causes of improvement in educational achievement and opportunity in this country. So big data, how do we think about this, right? As my colleague Gary King in the government department likes to say, big data is not about the data. Right? When you hear about the rise of big data, it's not just that we have a lot, it's how we can do something with it. Right? So his point is that it's about the algorithms, the methods for processing and understanding the data. And indeed, my work with Sean started as a statistical project. But it's about more than the algorithms and the methods. It's also about the relentless pursuit and cleaning of data. It's about quality, not just quantity. We have to make sure the data are useful. Third, it's also about access to data. Right? The fact that I can give this away, right? The fact that it's transparent and open, right, allows other people to check our work. We become part of the public research infrastructure. We're all working together to understand the correlates and the causes of educational achievement and opportunity in this country. And then finally, what I would say is, like, it's about your access to data. Welcome to HGSE. These data are public. You can pull them up on your phone. You can make these scatter plots this afternoon over coffee if you're so inclined, right? And so all of this is public, and what I hope you will do is take it, learn from it, and teach with it, right? Because ultimately, it's us working together to answer these important research questions about how to solve problems in educational inequities in this country that makes, ultimately, these big data big. Thank you very much.